I get asked all the time, what is a vigilante? What does it mean to be a vigilante? And so to explain that, I'm just going to kind of explain where the vigilantes came from. When I started the group, I honestly thought there was going to be like 10 or 20 people who really like the scrap that would want to be a part of the behind the scenes, helping pick out the guests and make the questions. And I never dreamed that the vigilantes would grow into what it has grown into. Over 700 like-minded souls. If you're a vigilante, you are never alone. We have members from across the country. We have members from across the globe. And it's just amazing what it's become. If you're in there, then you get to be in the Discord. And the Discord is where we do all of our discussions and people go live and they talk and they ask questions. And we have a channel for bitching and moaning, for presenting classes. It's amazing the fellowship that is involved in being a vigilante. And it's not just that, there's so many other benefits. You get access to the vigilante only swag shop. You get the 15% discount on all merch from Firehouse Vigilance. You get the after parties. You get the vigilante get-togethers when we're all at the same place and we get together and we raise a glass and do a toast and have the vigilante creed. You get the vigilante coin when you hit your 1-year anniversary with your number. The fireaways, the forums, the archives, all of the quarterly projects that are coming that you get to be a part of and get to be behind the scenes on. It's grown into something bigger than I ever imagined. And I want people to know about it. I want people to be a part of it. If you're not a vigilante, why not? I don't know how big it could be. I don't know. I mean, the vigilantes are where the work is at. They're the ones who are getting stuff done. And it's phenomenal to be a part of it. I wanted to get on here and explain where it started, how it came to be, and ask you, if you're not a vigilante, why not? Go to patreon.com/thevigilantes. That's where you sign up. It is $5 a month. I mean, you can't even get a cup of coffee for that anymore. $5 a month and you get to be a part of this unbelievable group. Go to patreon.com, sign up, become a vigilante, and I will see you on the Discord.
I'm Greg Temple. I'm the fire chief of the Spring Hill Fire Department in Spring Hill, Tennessee. The Spring Hill Fire Department is a fully career fire department consisting of 93 staff members. We cover a little over 27 square miles, about 30 minutes south of Nashville along I-65. The Spring Hill Fire Department's training center was very small when I got there 3 years ago. We essentially had one burn box, one Connex facility. That led us to consider affordable drill towers. So the BART tower really stood out to us as being the most ideal model for our city. We have currently 3- and 4-story hotels in the city. This is going to give us the ability to train now on up to 5 and 6 stories. So the BART tower comes with 6 movable windows and allows us to be able to practice on multiple different levels, multiple different floors for VEIS, for ladder truck pickoffs. The openness of the tower as well allows us as instructors to be able to look in and watch what's going on or watch from the ground. The ability to practice confined space and being able to take the floor treads out was definitely an advantage. The roof prop gives us the ability to practice both on commercial flat roofs as well as ventilated peak roofs. The ability to have dual staircases. Firefighters are competitive. They want to run against each other on our physical agility testing. This is going to give us the opportunity to do that. The affordable drill tower is just such a versatile piece of equipment for your drill ground. You have removable floors, the windows, the standpipes. There is no comparison with what you get with an affordable drill tower versus other towers that may be $1.5 to $3 million. The affordable drill tower gives you all the functionality of those same buildings for a fraction of the cost. And it definitely made my city administrator and my finance director very happy when I presented them with the bid for an affordable drill tower compared to the other products that we considered. Your imagination is the only thing that limits you by using one of these towers. So it's been a great investment and it's really helped our department a lot. Working with affordable drill towers was amazing. I initially sent an email. Dennis was very prompt to respond back. We had several conversations. So it's been a great process from start to finish with affordable drill towers.
Let's do this. Corley Moore, Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 327. Paul Watlington, 25 years fire service experience and the owner of Impact Fire Training. Currently, Assistant Chief of the Burlington Fire Department in North Carolina, overseeing training, safety, and logistics. Paul has also served 25 years with the Yanceyville Volunteer Fire Department in North Carolina. He holds the designation of Chief of Training Officer with the Center for Public Safety Excellence. He's been a fire service instructor since '05, taught for multiple college systems, fire departments, and conferences throughout the United States. He's also a forever student of the fire service with interest in training and development, leadership, and the engineer's role in engine company operations. Paul is unapologetic about his faith, the love for his family, and his passion for the American fire service. And I'm excited for the conversation we got here, Paul. It's only taken a bit, but we got here.
Resilience.
Welcome, my brother, to episode number 327.
Thank you, Corley. Appreciate you having me, man. And let me start by saying Happy Veterans Day to all of the veterans serving and those that have served, specifically my pops, 1968-69 Vietnam, 101st Airborne Division, Screaming Eagles. Happy Veterans Day to those days.
Right on, my brother. Absolutely. Anything I missed in the intro? Anything you want to add? I mean, besides that, yeah, but yes.
Oh, I'm looking for the guy that you just introduced. I don't know who that guy is, but no,
he sounds amazing. I'll be honest with you.
No. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely, my brother. Okay, well, there we go. Audience is primed and ready. They've been the front row crew, the front row gang has been here, checked in and talking, and so they're excited. Paulie putting B-Town on the map with like 14 P's. Let's go with like 14 O's from Matt Hauser. Mouch has the Let's Go coming. Yeah, absolutely. First live show. Let's go. Welcome, Nikos, to the first live show. And then there's a lot of LFGs, Veterans Days. Yeah, Larkin Fire. Man, yeah, lots of hype. Here we go. Let's do the sponsor so we can get to the scrap so the hype is worth it.
Right on.
When it comes to building your perfect attack package, you can't just slap any nozzle on any hose and hope for the best. That's a recipe for failure. At Snap Tight Hose, they are not just trying to sell you hose. They are there to make sure you get the right hose paired with the right nozzle for your crew and conditions. Their team of experienced reps knows the stuff inside and out, and they're ready to help. No ego, no judgment, because knowledge is power. And at Snap Tight Hose, they bring both. Visit snaptighthose.com to connect with a rep and start building your ideal hose and nozzle package today. Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props, like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder, and ladder high-point rescues. Of course, they also make the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory and then roll it into the parking lot and pump realistic flows and pressures. And their mainstay, the Affordable Drill Tower. It comes in several configurations, standard with a standpipe system. Choose one or two sets of stairs integrated into your existing Connex boxes or freestanding on a slab. All models NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing that you can't do on an Affordable Drill Tower is live fire training. Call Steve, 844-55-TOWER, or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. Fire safety and accountability starts with being able to quickly find and identify individual firefighters operating on the fireground. Identifier Safety combines the best in photoluminescent materials for durable firefighter identification solutions that can glow for up to 20 hours, no switches, no batteries, which means being able to rapidly identify firefighters by name, unit, or assignment, even under hot fire conditions. All specifically designed for the rigors of the job. Be seen, on scene, identifiersafety.com. And of course, you guys know I love Flame Decon. Get the nasty stuff off you. Use Flame in the shower. Shower within the hour. Get it on. Okay, all that being said, it's time to scrap, and the audience is going. Okay, and for those of you that don't know, Sam is the all-powerful Oz, and he absolutely pulled off an ultimate swap with like 2 minutes to go to get this scrap live. So anyway, hats off. Paul, let's talk driver operators, engineers, engine company operations. Man, let's get into your wheelhouse. Let's start in your wheelhouse. This is what I first learned about you talking about and things like that. But let's talk about engineer operations and what we're doing right in the fire service and what we're getting wrong and where you see the most room for improvement.
What we're doing right and wrong, man. I think that's relative. We could talk about that later, but I will say that the engineer position, that chauffeur, that driver doesn't get their day in court, right? It's what I've noticed in the past, just growing as a firefighter, growing in the positions that I've been in is there's a lot beyond certification for many of the aspects or many of the positions on the fireground, right? Beyond certification, but when you look at that driver engineer position, a lot of times it's in-house training, what you might get out of certification, what you might get out of just trials and tribulations as you go through with the pump panel. But when you go to conferences, when you go to, seek any outside education, it's just not a lot out there for
No.
those engineers that are looking to actually use that as a destination position and or view that as a destination position. So when I noticed that, I really looked at that as an opportunity to hit the streets hard, man. And I know what I went through, and I knew what wasn't available to me. I learned the hard way on quite a few things, and I just wanted to make sure that I did my part to make sure that nobody else had to, experience some of the mistakes that I made, right? And you go to these conferences. It's conferences all over the world, man, all over the country, especially here in the U.S. From Florida to the northern part of the U.S., all the way to the West Coast, East Coast, and it's you can flip a coin and go to any of the search classes and the fire attack classes and truck classes, but
Yes.
it's just a handful that are designed and built around mastering that position at that pump panel and mastering that position of the overall driver operator. So what are we doing right and wrong? I mean, man, we could talk all night long just about that one particular topic. But what I did learn was there's so much more beyond what you're going to learn in a certification class that gets you into that position. And once you're there, it's kind of like you learn the hard way. And I hate to say it, but learning the hard way sometimes could mean life and death to a victim, right?
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of people don't even look at the driver position as there's a lot of myths, I guess is what I could say. It's not rewarding, it's not exciting. It's a stepping stone to get to the
Hmm.
officer role, right?
Right.
It doesn't make as much of an impact on the fireground. You want to know how much of an impact you make as a driver on the fireground? Miss a route, miss a route. That's 10 to 15 more breaths that a victim is taking of in harsh environments, right? You're delaying getting that search crew there.
Mm.
Not understanding your apparatus and the limitations of the apparatus, not understanding the troubleshooting aspects of being a pump operator. You're really the only person other than the shift commander that's on the scene that's operating by themselves. You don't have anybody there to bounce ideas off of. You got to take that into consideration. It's you. It's John Wayne time, right? So
Yeah.
you gotta know what plan B, C, and D are, and be able to work your way through it. But I mean, of course, there's so much more to it than that. But
Why do you think the reason is that there is so little um, out there? Like you say, you can throw a rock and hit a conference almost any weekend we were in the conference probably past the golden age, and in the conferences, there's just tons of them. Is what I'm saying. And like you said, you can sign up for the search class, the hose advancement class, the even throwing ladders class, the forcible entry class, but there is not a lot out there for that pump panel and moving that water, or just like you. One of the guys in the chat actually said, Mouch said, anyone can push buttons and pull levers. True engineers are artists, but
oh my
there's
God, yeah.
there's not a lot of how to be an artist classes out there. Is it just, and this is what I'm trying to ask, is it just because it's so unglorified and it is a stepping stone, or is it just so jurisdictionally based it's just not glamorous? Like, what, in your opinion, what's the reason?
I think because it's one of the earlier stages, and I say that being using, I guess, the historical stance to it. It's one of the earlier stages of your fire service career, and especially a lot of career departments. A lot of folks look at that position as being just, hey, I'm gonna do my year, my 2, my 3, 4 years as a driver, and then I'm gonna hurry up, move on to the officer role, right? Um, you don't feel, a lot of people have came to me and said, man, I don't feel like I'm making an impact. What I do is kind of Nobody sees what I do. Nobody pays any attention to what I do because like 80% of the time, 80 to 90% of the time, everything's going to work perfectly fine for you at the pump panel. So it's almost like it doesn't encompass the opportunity to make mistakes and learn from it, but it does, because that 10 to 20% of the time that things don't go right, it can like largely delay the incident. It could delay time to victims. It could delay time to extinguishment. Um, you know, Going all the way back to the firehouse. I mean, where does your preparation as an engineer start? It starts in the firehouse. It starts in studying routes. It starts in, understanding the limitations of your rig. You are the technical specialist of every piece of equipment on that apparatus. I mean, I use I guess the comparison to NASCAR drivers, if you think about it. Like, those NASCAR drivers, their job is to drive the car, right? You got all
Right.
these other guys that, they're set aside to work on it. Your job is to drive it. But how can you tell them what to work on if you don't know what is wrong with it? You hear those guys calling in on the radios and saying, "Hey, man, I feel like I got a vibration. I feel like I got this." In order to know that you got something wrong, you got to know what right feels like first, right? So you have to know that apparatus. You have to be able to use all of your senses. Understanding the mechanics of that apparatus. When I decided I wanted to become a pump operator, um, I actually put in a request for transfer to get to a specific station where I knew where the top driver instructor was at our fire station, and it just so happened it was real close to the training facility in our fire department, and it was just everything was lining up perfectly. So when I got out there, I was like, man, I've got my driver operator certification. I feel this, math is actually interesting to me now because I hated math in high school. I didn't give a crap stuff, man. Um, when I got out there, he says, "Hey, so I understand you want to be a pump operator. You want to be a driver operator. You want to be my right hand guy, in the truck." Yeah, okay. Well, guess what? We're not going to start with the fun stuff first. I'm like, wow, okay. We're going to start at the very beginning. I want you to know this rig from the front to the back, top to bottom. I want you to
I
know
said
what.
you start
Yeah,
inventory. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean everything. I want you to know
Right.
everything it is to know about everything on this truck, and how it operates. Because I'm not going to be here beside you when something goes wrong. I'm going to be interior, or I'm going to be on the roof, or I'm going to be over here doing this. So he wanted me to know everything. I got lucky because my driver, my engineer, driver, operator, chauffeur, instructor was actually a mechanic. So he was able to break things down even more in detail. But he wanted me to know my water supplies. He wanted me to know secondary routes. He wanted me to know everything it was to know about that. And then we got into the actual pump operations, which was a completely different beast at that point, which I thought at the time that's all it was, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
when we got into all of the other aspects, I was like, wow, now I'm seeing what kind of an impact that a true engineer, true chauffeur, driver, whatever you refer to it at your department, what that really means and how much of an impact that you could make, on the operations on the scene.
Right on. No, how long ago was this, like, time frame wise in your career?
Oh my God. Okay. Let me see how much hair I got left. That was a long time ago. Um, 2005, I think.
Okay,
2000.
so quite a ways back. What do you like? This just made me think of it because all none of us are getting younger. But when we started, you still running two stage. Was it volume and pressure back then still, or what?
Actually,
Had they?
no, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, 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 no. I was just gonna go to the whole one electronic one button push preset mentality that it's become, and the artistry being taken away from it. But go ahead and go wherever you want to go with it.
No, 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 no. I'm glad you said that because, like, I'm a firm believer, and I'm gonna probably get crucified for this because most people like technology and where we're going with it. But I'm a fan of technology. But
Right,
I will say that for quite a few people, technology has taken away the concept of thinking.
right. Or
I've
understanding even how
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
going on under
well, it,
there.
it takes the why away, right? And for me, uh,
Hmm.
I was taught the why before I was taught the how, right? So, and I think that's very important with anything in fire training, right? If you're taught the why first, you get the most out of the how. So when it comes to the technology part, what it brings to the table, I mean, we're relying on buttons, man. We're relying on technology, and hey, if it don't do what it's supposed to do, then I can blame it on the system, right? I don't have to worry about taking that on me. But when it comes down to it- breaking it breaking it all down and understanding the way technology has kind of taken on, I mean, we back in the day when I first started pumping trucks, man, we had a kind of a varied fleet. We had two-stage pumps. We had two old Macs, old 70, 70, I think it was like 78, 79 Mac. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and I didn't know how to drive it because you had to double clutch it. And that particular instructor I'm talking about, he was my captain at the time. I had it in reverse one day and didn't know it because the truck was so loud you couldn't hear the reverse buzzer. And I'm a country boy. I grew up in North Carolina on the farms, driving straight gear vehicles, 5 speed. And when I pull up to an intersection, I was just moving the gear shifter around, right? So I was slamming in first gear to get ready to take off, and I'm actually in reverse the whole time, and I didn't know it. And when I dropped the clutch, bam, I'm driving backwards, and he immediately said, "Get out of the truck, come over here. You're not driving anymore, right?" So just that little change, moving over to automatic transmissions, and then you got two-stage pumps, single-stage pumps. Now we're strictly single-stage pumps now, but
I think isn't
understand.
that is that is everything now single stage? I don't know. I don't want
No,
to
no,
speak
no,
for the
no. You
fire
can
service.
still get them. I mean, just we are in
No, no,
Burlington.
no. I was wondering because we went to single stage. That's all we have anymore, and so I wondered if they were just phased out, like dying breed, or if that was an old. I'm not versed. I'm just showing my ignorance. I wonder if people still order two stage pumps with volume
Uh,
and pressure.
you can still get them,
Okay.
and um, you know, in my volley house, in my volunteer department here in Yanceyville, we've got a few trucks that still have two-stage pumps in them. But some of the listeners may be able to relate to this. Most of the two-stage pumps at some of the stations, they're stuck in pressure mode. The transfer valves won't even move anymore because that's one of the valves that hardly ever gets used on a pump. But um, those little transitions, and then now we got pressure governors, and I thought the pressure governor system, the total pressure governor system in the fire service was a huge transition, but now we got computerized pump panels, drag and drop. You actually got engineers that are the first time they ever see a pump panel is a computer screen,
Right.
and they actually just drag, pre-connect one over to the little picture of a pump, and that's where it all starts. But and that's good. I mean, I understand that. I understand that we have to change with the current environment that we're in. But it still needs the why still needs to be taught. The
Yes. Yes.
background still needs to be taught. Um, you know, and you can take that even further and look at pump charts. I mean, most departments now or most departments that I've interacted with are creating pump charts. That's great. That's awesome. It's a quick reference sheet for you to be able to move forward with into your pump operations. But I think it's still important to know where that came from, right? Where those numbers came from. And that all goes back to testing, which is the absolute best way to determine what you need to do is test. Don't rely on industry standard.
Right.
Uh, because everything's so different.
No, I've been corrected. The chat's wildly correcting me, saying Wessels let me know they still run two stages in Atlanta.
Yes,
Blake
sir.
Cantac says all the apparatus in Jacksonville are two stage pumps. So there you go.
Yep.
There are a lot. And someone else said it's already rolled past, but someone else said two stages are making a comeback. So there you go.
I'm gonna tell you, man, especially with the cost of apparatus now and the wear and tear that it does running high RPMs on some of those single stage pumps. I remember those old Macs. Some people used to joke and say that, hey, you might not be able to get it to the seam, but if you do, it will pump better than any other apparatus that you're gonna find. It just hums, man. I mean, it hums. It no high RPMs, and it's just the longevity of the pump. From my experiences with those particular apparatus was a lot longer.
No, that makes sense. And Chris Wessels made a good point. If you're going to pump a high rise, you really need a two stage, and
Oh
that's
yeah,
a valid. Very.
yeah,
I didn't even think about that aspect.
yeah. You're pumping higher pressures to overcome that loss, man. You
Yeah.
you need that extra help.
No, that makes complete sense. Are you ready, Paul, for your first questions coming at you from the scrappers?
I'm ready, man. Let's let it rip.
Kyle Piverall checking in says, how can I help others and myself develop in the driver engineer role when my department does not have a promoted position? Either the senior guy drives or the person that chooses to drive that day.
So the first thing is what we've already talked about, and that's just understanding the impact that you can actually make on an incident as a driver operator. Um, we take pride in all of the aspects of the service. We take pride in all of the positions that I mean, Corley, you were a battalion chief, before you retired, and I'm sure you were very proud of what the impact of what you brought to the table. I'm not quite sure why, but there's a lot of engineers that kind of feel, like, you know, I'm not going to say embarrassed, but like, hey, it must be nice to be, in turnout gear over here doing a search or doing a fire attack or standing in command post. I'm gonna just be over here pulling levers. But that that is just a myth, right? I mean, that's
Right.
just a mindset. If you've got that mindset, then that's all you're gonna ever get out of it. But when you really break that position down and realize, I looked at, I'm kind of a geek about the fire triangle, right? The fire triangle and the three main tactical priorities are the reason that we're on this show right now.
That's it.
They're,
You
they're, they're the
can't make it
reason.
simpler than that.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, if you take those two things away from the fire service, right, none of us have a job, right? So I relate everything to a triangle. I got a leadership triangle. I got the incident triangle. So you can have all of the shift commanders that you want, all of the scene commanders that you want. You can have all of the nozzle operators, all of the vent guys, the truck guys on the scene. But if you take that pump operator away, you take that engineer away, you have a massive, massive impact. And the gentleman that mentioned something in the chat a few minutes ago about, like there's a difference between lever pullers and pump operators.
That artist, right?
I could teach my 20-year-old son that's never been inside of a fire truck. I could teach him to make water come out of a nozzle in 15, 20 minutes. That's just hey, do this, do that. But understanding what you're doing, you got hose nozzle packages that you have to take into consideration. You got losses that you have to take into consideration. You got specific crews that you got to take into consideration. Desired flows is so many other aspects to that job. And hey, but when you are in that position, be proud of that.
Yes.
And understand that, and like strive to be the best driver that has or the best driver operator that has ever come through that department. You need to be the person that is so good that nothing surprises you. I think about Brett Favre. I'm a big football geek, right? I'm a football fan. So I think about Brett Favre. He was actually doing an interview years ago, and it was a true story. I think it's actually on TikTok. But Brett Favre, if you're a football fan, you know who he is. Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And obviously he came over to the lighter side, the great side, which is the Minnesota Vikings. But Brett said that all of the years that he was a quarterback, he never knew what a nickel defense was. He never knew what a nickel defense was. So he's in his second year at Green Bay, and he looks at his backup quarterback and he says, "Hey, man, like this is kind of embarrassing, so I got to ask you a question. What's a nickel defense?" And they were like, "Really? You serious? Like you're like an NFL quarterback?" "Yeah. What's a nickel defense?" Well, that's when they take out a linebacker and they add in a defensive back. And he says, "Oh, that's it?" "Yeah." He said, "Who gives a shit?" He was so good that nothing surprised him. He was so prepared at his job that nothing, no matter what the enemy threw at him, he was able to handle it, right? So that's the approach that you need to take on pretty much every aspect of what you're doing on the fireground. But that driver operator position, no man, I'm a lot of people pick on me. They're like, "Hey man, you're an assistant fire chief and you're teaching driver operator stuff. Why ain't you teaching like leadership and management and all of this other stuff?" Because I have worked with I have had like in my fire service career and hearing other people's testimonies, I have had or heard of bad drivers, bad pump operators, and good drivers, good pump operators. And it makes a tremendous difference. And Corley, you were an officer on a truck. You can vouch for this. There's nothing more comfortable than getting in that right seat and looking over and seeing that veteran engineer that you can rely on. That's your right hand person.
It takes a weight off your shoulders.
Oh,
it
man,
really,
yes.
really does, man.
Yep.
As the company officer, without a doubt.
Hey, long answer there. I'm sorry about that. Long answer.
No, that's what the scrap's about, man. It's about going down rabbit trails, rabbit holes, wherever we want to go. Matthew Hauser coming at you. He says, tell us how important knowing your streets are. And I'm going to this right here. I'll be right back in 2 seconds, but go ahead and talk because it's right here.
Yeah, no, knowing your streets is very important. And, historically, like in our department, we have a street test. And our street test, we've heard a lot of opinion about it from other departments, from our department, from people that are in our department, like, man, God, here comes the street test. You got to pass the street test. But a lot of people wonder why the street test is still needed when you got MCTs on the truck. You got, GPS, right?
Right.
I was on the way home from, me and Lori were on the way back from Gatlinburg, Tennessee. I was teaching at the Tennessee State Conference, and I typed in the GPS, my house. So I end up like turning down somebody's driveway, and I'm like in the backwoods, man. I don't know where I'm at. I'm on a gravel driveway, but my GPS told me to get there, right? So, that's just another example of technology is not always the end all fix all, right?
Right.
So, MCTs, your computers on the trucks, we got all of this technology that we can rely on with silent dispatch, telling us where we're supposed to go. But what happens if that doesn't work, right? Also, what happens if there's street closures? Thankfully, we're ahead of the game where we work, and we get street closure notifications first thing in the morning. Every morning, there's an alert in the dispatch center. They let us know of any street closures because we might have to make different routes. We also have specific routes with low overpasses to where our ladder trucks may not be able to go the same route as the engine, right? So they might have to come in from a different location. So knowing those streets and routes are important. And I'm going to relate back to the comment that I made a few minutes ago about we can go to conferences, we can watch YouTube videos, we can rely on internal knowledge that we have in our stations and our departments to help us shave seconds. We shave seconds off of a search with specific tips and tactics. We can shave seconds off of extinguishment by listening to this and hearing this person's point of view. Man, put that in play, man. That's awesome. We gained another few seconds. None of that matters when you take a wrong route. None of it matters, right? You want to know how much of an impact, again, that you make as a driver operator? Expand your mindset beyond the pump panel and think about how much of an impact you're making on a life or death scenario with a patient, with a victim, in a house fire, when you have to go an extra 2 blocks down to make a U-turn to come back to, the incident location. So, yeah, huge impact. That's how important the street knowledge is for your district.
Larkin Fire coming at you with one, and he says, how many times do you see the DO not want to train, but then on scene, the problem is always with the truck, not with them?
Technology, apparatus, working parts. It's easy to blame things on, right? It's easy to say because hey, how are you going to prove that it wasn't, right? So
right.
That's actually a really good question because it brings me into the training aspect. It brings me into that scenario-based training. I'm a scenario-based training person, right? I'm all about, I'm all about hitting off at the tee first, right? I'm all about, get your mechanics right first, but then apply that in scenario-based training. Just to see, how everything's working out and to be able to get a good evaluation. But when you do that scenario-based training, when you do your company drills, evaluate the driver operator. Who's actually evaluating them, right? When you get done with your company drill and you're doing, a critique or a hot wash, hey guys, what did you do better? What can you do better? What did you do bad? Okay, hey chief, what decisions could you have made better in the command post? But what you rarely see is then they turn and look at the pump operator and say, "Hey, did you experience anything in that drill that you could have done better? What did you
Oh
encounter?"
yeah.
You know, again, 80 to 90% of the time, everything's going to go fine, but that 10 to 20% of the time it doesn't affects everything on the on the fireground period.
No, and I can't think of lots of scenarios I run where they just the person on the pump operator isn't even involved in it. They just have someone has to do it, but the funds over here, or that's the mindset towards it, and so hey, let me get my turn. And yeah, no, absolutely, it is a mindset. Todd Birdsall says, "What's your opinion on rotating drivers versus having steady driver position?"
Um, I almost got a follow up, kind of a clarification need on that, like rotating drivers.
Go ahead and ask. I think it means different person drives every shift
Uh,
or promoted position.
so I'm going to answer the question in the respect of rotating per shift.
Okay.
I'm all about people getting, getting that experience in those, specific positions, especially. And I'm an advocate for ride up programs, right? I'm an advocate for, people getting that seat time. There's no
He
better
did. He
experience.
clarified. He
Okay.
clarified on YouTube. He said rotating monthly, and that's what he clarified as far as the details of his question. But answer it in whatever direction you want to take it.
Okay. So rotating monthly on apparatus, you got a couple of different routes you could take when answering that. One would be hopefully the engine, all of the, hopefully your engines are kind of comparable to each other to where if you get in one, it's set up kind of like the other. Like in Burlington, for an example, when you get out of the driver's side of the truck, the very first compartment is the engineer's compartment. That's where your appliances are. That's where your things that you're going to access the most. So any of our drivers, if they have to, move stations, or if they have to, work a trade shift or something like that, they're going to end up, pretty close, to what they're used to. As far as like moving from an engine to a truck, that's a hot topic right now. Especially around here where staffing sometimes does not allow you to have dedicated engine company and truck companies. Um, it's a completely different beast, chauffeuring a ladder truck versus an engine company, right? A lot of things that, well, I mean, I'm not even gonna talk about the differences just because they're so vast, right? They're um, so, I guess, the mechanics of a ladder truck, the overall operation of a ladder truck, completely different beast. It's almost like it's two different, completely different jobs.
Right.
Um, Specializing in a position, being able to get the most out of it, being able to master that position, I think is important. So if you're an engineer on an engine, um, I'm really not a fan of that individual mastering that position. I'm more of a fan of that particular individual mastering that position before they move over to another, because I feel like if you're rotating back and forth, it kind of throws you off.
No, that does make sense. That does make sense. No, I love the question so far. You guys are killing it. Keep them coming at Paul. And Paul, you're killing it with the answers. So, what did you? Rob Lyle wants to know what was your favorite truck to drive and operate. I like this question. I really do.
Oh man! All right, so I'm gonna probably get laughed at with this one.
Okay, I like it already.
It's a '97 model KME, short
Okay.
wheelbase, Allison transmission. It's actually I advocated for keeping it around and keeping it as our training truck. So that's what we actually had when I was the training chief. We still got it. It's at our training facility now, but manual throttle. I came up on manual throttles and relief valves, and that's they're hard to come by now. I mean, you don't see them, a lot, but that was my favorite truck, a '97 model KME. Um, I think my second one was probably the what our engine 7 is in Burlington. It's an old 2000 model Ferrara. It's also a manual throttle. Um, it's had some maintenance done to it, but it's probably one of the fastest trucks we got in the city, and I love driving the truck. I hated the Max simply because I feel like I got my ass chewed every time I drove one.
Probably some story there. We'll get to the story in the after party for sure. No, I like it. The KME, you said short wheelbase, like a Pierce Arrow type short wheelbase type deal. Just turned on a dime or what?
Oh my God, that thing turned on a dime. That truck is the one that everybody reaches for in when we're doing our EVD driving pad course.
Gotcha.
Everybody wants to drive that particular truck. Yeah.
Kyle Piverall wants to says, I understand and have seen the importance of a great driver engineer. How can I balance the love of being in the back seat with the department need of stepping up to the front left seat?
Whew, that's tough. And
That is tough, man.
I'm an engine guy. When I say I'm an engine guy, man, like I enjoyed driving. That was probably some of the, well, I'm gonna say some of the most fun because every position has its different types of fun. But I felt like I was firing on all cylinders the most when I was a driver. But man, it's nothing like that nozzle in your hand. That's nothing like making entry into a fire, man. I get cold chills now thinking about it just because I've been off of the truck so long, right? But I tell all my folks now, like if I respond to a call, I mean I'm a white shirt, yeah, I get picked on, but if I respond to a call, I'm still a firefighter. So
right,
I'm not in the response. So if I do show up and if I got my gear on, like don't lay a nozzle down beside me. It's tough. It's tough, but you really have to base your feelings on that around what your needs are at your department. Um, if your department's in need of dedicated driver operators, people that are really willing to put that much emphasis and that much detail and dedication into that position, then you just got to be the guy, right? You got to be that guy or that girl or whoever's doing that. Um,
sometimes it's just not about you. It's just not
yeah, I
about you.
mean, you got to make those sacrifices, man, because I mean, good pump operators, good driver operators, they're hard to come by. I mean, they just, and it's not because they're not capable. It's just most of them are not willing, right?
Love it. Chris Wessel's coming at you from Georgia. Worst trend and best trend you see in pumper design.
Worst trend and best trend. That's tough. That's tough because we're just kind of like adaptive, right? We just take what we get. I'm gonna have to. You gonna probably have to give him my email address and just get him to email me that and let me think about it.
Break it down. No, I'll tell you right now. The worst trend is the build times, and the
price
increase.
Oh no! When you go on that route, yeah, I 100% agree.
No, I that's the easy soft toss. The build times and the what would I call? I would say the raping of the American fire service by the manufacturers, collusion, but that's what I call it. But we'll see if they actually call it that for real. So no, great question, and I'll make sure and get you in contact with him to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll be happy to talk to him.
John Bailey wants to know what were some of your best maintenance rituals to keep your engine ready for action and looking sharp.
Oh man, I'm parade ready all the time, right? My captain, when I was driving, he every Saturday was like a big maintenance day. Like every day we did maintenance, right? But every Saturday was detailed. So he took things a little what at the time I thought they were overboard, but then I realized the importance of it. And it was a pride thing, man. Like, hey, take pride in your rig. This is your rig. Alan Brunacini said that fire trucks are like godlike vehicles, right? There's something that needs to be taken care of. And not to mention the fact that the citizens are paying for it, it's theirs. Your job is to take care of it, right? But one of the things that he told me to do is like every Saturday, I want every compartment on this truck rinsed out and washed out. So I would take everything out of one compartment, just kind of rinse it out. And, if it didn't have like drain holes in it, and I'm going to probably get in trouble for saying this, but if it didn't have drain holes in it, we created drain holes in it. But we washed all.
Firefighters always adapt.
Oh yeah. So
problem solvers.
That's exactly right. So we washed out the compartments and we cleaned all of the equipment on the truck. Any road grime, a lot of the little things. He wanted me to clean the frame of the truck. He was like, "How are you going to see a crack in the frame, or how are you going to see rust around a hole that it used to be a bolt if you can't see the frame from all of the dirt and road ground?" So I popped the cab. I cleaned the frame. Cleaned the inside of the truck. And he looked at me one day. I'll never forget this. I kind of got a little slack on my cleaning on the inside of the apparatus one day. And he said, "Watlington, come here real quick, man. I want you to see something." So he walks me over to my truck, my personal vehicle, and he says, "I want you to look at your dashboard and the floorboard in your vehicle. You and your wife, you and Laura, you ride around. You go out to eat. Everything's nice and clean." And I said, "Yes, sir." He says, why don't you do that to that fire truck? That's yours too. You need to take care of that fire truck just like you do your personal vehicle. The dashboard in that truck needs to look like that. The floorboard needs to be clean. If you take pride in those little things like that, then I know you're going to take pride in everything else that you do. And of course that's just pride in general. But taking care of that rig, man, that's one less thing that you got to worry about when it comes to, are things working the way they're supposed to.
Right on. Right on. All right, I'm going to pivot. We got a lot. I like this one. Before I pivot, I will stay on engineers for a minute longer because Luke Stevenson asked you from the future, from Australia. He's asking you, what are your thoughts about whether engineers should still be expected to maintain fitness slash skills to get actively involved as a firefighter? I've seen
Man,
unfit members hide as engineers. Go ahead.
oh, that's perfect. I'm so glad that question was asked, because one of the number one aspects, or one of the number one characteristics of a good pump operator, good driver operator in general, a good engineer, is being physically agile. Again, I relate back to that. You're working by yourself. And especially some of the low staff departments. We have 3-person engine companies, right? You got a crew interior, and they need a vent fan. They need another line pulled. They need, you're establishing your own water supply with a 5-inch, or, you might have a drafting operation going on if you're in a rural area. You're doing all of that, in some cases, by yourself. It's a heavy lift, literally, for, some of the pump operators. So being physically agile, there's a funny video that Jason Patton did on driver operators on YouTube. Look that up. But, it's very, being physically agile and being physically able to do the job is very important. It's not just about standing at the pump panel. When people say that, hey, you're only busy for like the first 5 minutes of the incident, if that's the case, you're not doing your job.
Oof.
You're moving, right? You're moving around. You're watching gauges. You're moving hand lines. You're getting slack closer to the door rather than being piled up at the truck. So it's a heavy lift. So being physically agile, very, very important.
Great questions. Man, audience always brings the great questions. Now I'm going to pivot because we've talked about it a lot, and I love the topic. And like you said, we could probably talk about it for 2 or 3 hours, and you'd still have plenty more to give. But let's pivot to leadership, because I know it's a passion of yours. Yeah. I like leadership triangle. Let's hear Paul Watlington's thoughts on leadership in the fire service, whichever direction you want to go, and then we'll take questions from the audience.
Oh man, so I'm probably not the person you would consider a leadership consultant, right? But I've made the mistakes, and I've had the successes, and I have worked for some great leaders, and I've worked for some terrible leaders. And what that has done for me is kind of mold me into what I wanted to be as a leader, right? It taught me what leadership was, to work, and I learned probably more from the bad leaders than I did the good ones. What I have found is that inspirational piece of leadership is the most important. I feel like leadership in general, it is what it is, and it hadn't changed. You'll hear different spins to it. You'll hear different terms being used in leadership, but I broke it down. So when I was in the training center, when I was at the training facility, they ran a lot of BLET classes, basic law enforcement classes, out of the training facility.
Okay.
And so I was exposed a lot of times to more police officers than I was firefighters. Of course, we had our firefighters coming to the training facility and we ran our academies, but because I was exposed to those law enforcement officers the most, I polled them a lot, and I got a chance to speak to them, and I challenged all of them for like 2 or 3 BLET classes, and I think it ended up being like 250 people total that I ended up polling. And I told them, give me what you think are your 3 top characteristics of a leader. Just give me your top 3. And of course, they would give me a bunch, but I put them all on a spreadsheet, and then I sorted them, and I looked at
Okay.
what was the top 3 that were mentioned. Now you got to keep in mind too, this was in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Um, the 3 that I got them, or the 2 of the 3 that I got were trustworthiness and competency.
Mm.
And I was a little kind of taken back. I was excited to see those things because obviously I think they're important, but I was expecting things like empathy. I want that person to care. I want that person to inspire me, and
Listen to me and
listen
yeah,
to
yeah,
me, things like
yeah.
that. So, but I heard
Mm.
some of the traditional things like, I want that trustworthiness. I want my leader to be competent. I want them to know their job. So I added another one to it because I do obviously think that those 2 are very important, and I added decisiveness. And
Mm.
the reason that I added that is because I think all 3 of them go hand in hand, and I put those again in the fire triangle
Right on.
with the same concept of if you take one away, you're pretty much screwed. You can be trustworthy and decisive, but if you're not confident, you're done. They see that. They know
You make a lot of quick, dumb decisions.
that. Yeah. But if you're not decisive and you're confident and you're trustworthy, but you can't make a decision, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and again, if and for the third leg, if you're decisive and competent, but you have given them a reason to not trust you, you're screwed. So, and of course, those all 3 of those aspects or legs of the leadership triangle to me, all they're broken down into even more categories, obviously. But I, I told you a few minutes ago, just in the pre-discussion before we went live, these two helmets on the wall mean a lot to me, and hardly anybody knows what they mean to me. Because they just see 2 fire helmets, right?
Right.
One black, one white. But in between those 2 helmets right there is a lot of mistakes. Um, a lot of mistakes when it comes to leadership, a lot of growth when it comes to leadership. And that's for me. And the reason I don't have my other helmets in between them is because of where it started and where I am now. And I think about that. And, you know, what got me to that was the people that I surrounded myself with that were inspirational. So I turned that fire triangle into a tetrahedron and I put
Okay.
that inspirational leg to it, right? Um, I think inspiration is going to lead to confidence. Inspiration is going to lead to motivation. Um, I think it's probably one of the most important aspects, if not in the past, especially now, when it comes to leadership. The newer generation, the people that me and you, some of the I guess I hate to get into these terms because I'm not really a fan of them, but the Gen X's, us Gen X's, the people that we're leading, they want to be motivated. They want to be they want feedback. They need that feedback, and if you can provide that feedback in an inspirational way to inspire them to keep, even if you have to correct them, even if you have to discipline. If it's inspirational, man, it takes them to the next level, and I've seen that effect directly. Um, that's one of the biggest things about being a academy instructor that I really enjoyed was being inspirational. My trophy at the end of the day was seeing someone else succeed. Man, if I was to be able to see that recruit, that rookie, that probie that I taught in the academy, when they make captain, when they make lieutenant, when they make engine boss or truck boss, or when they make battalion chief, they don't know this, but to me, man, God, I take that personal, man. because I remember being part of that particular person's growth
That
and
journey, yeah.
inspiring them and leading them in the right direction. I might have been a small part of that leadership,
Sure.
but God, man, that inspirational leg of leadership, I think it's probably one of the most important. I could sit here and tell you how, I could show you the way, but if you don't follow me, how good of a leader am I? Right?
No
I
doubt.
could
No
walk the
doubt.
walk. I could walk the walk. I could be confident. I could be decisive. I could be trustworthy. But if I don't take all three of those things and put them together and inspire you with that fourth aspect to follow me, you're not gonna follow me. And man, I've heard of a gentleman in a roundtable discussion with me from Saudi Arabia said it. Um, I think I'm gonna paraphrase it. If you're a leader with no followers, you're just taking a walk.
Taking a walk. Yeah. No doubt about it. Just out for a walk, out for a stroll.
Yeah,
Uh, I love it. Kyle Piverall coming at you with a leadership question. He says, how can less senior members of the department gain knowledge when the officer is disgruntled and checked out, possibly too far gone? He's a good guy, but no passion, lack of competency. Yeah.
wow. Okay,
Get,
tough one.
get this kind
No,
of question all the time.
no. It's actually not tough. It's you can't stop, and believe it or not, you can make a positive effect on that individual. I guess the best way to describe that is the tail can waggle the dog, right? And what I mean by that, I guess, is you still know what's important to you. You know what you need. You know, don't take the request for transfer and move stations or quit or something like that as the easy way out. You know, kudos to you, by the way, whoever you are. I forgot the name already, but kudos to you for knowing that you want to be where you want to be. You know, you got a destination, and you feel like that's an obstacle. Um, you gotta continue to push. You got to look for educational opportunities. And I'll tell you, like I told my baseball team back in the day when I was coaching travel baseball, you're not going to be good coming to practice 2 or 3 days a week. You got to do your part too, right? You got to do your part on your own time, and you got to continue to push and continue. Because I'm gonna tell you, man, the day that you stop, we're all screwed. Those passionate people like you in the fire service, the day that you stop pushing, even when you see those, what Anthony Castro calls them, recliner snipers. Oh,
Snipers.
I love it, recliner snipers.
Yeah. The
I think
snipers.
Viscuso calls them corner mutts. Yeah. So you're gonna have those people, man. You're gonna have those people. You're gonna have those people that are relying on complacency to get by every day, right? They want to come in, they want to just ride the time, fence riders. Um, but the day that people like you give up, all of us are suffering from it, man, because it's but those leeches, those people that just latch on and suck all of the positive out of you, and maybe not literally, maybe not directly, maybe they just create an environment that you're in that is just not a learning environment. You can still at the learner level of that make an impact. Simon Sinek, he's actually big on maintaining maintaining that need, that desire to lead, even at a lower level, because firefighters can lead, right?
Yes.
Backstage firefighters are leaders just as much as your chief officers, and you can make an impact on those chief officers as leaders. You can make an impact on your company officer as a leader. All you got to do is just keep pushing, man. And what you're going to do is you're going to end up surrounding yourself, or you're going to end up communicating or interacting with like-minded people, and that's going to be contagious at some point.
Beautiful. No, it's a great answer, man. Great answer. I like this one on training here. We're going to
Hey,
kick around to
can I stop you just for a second?
always.
All right. I want to piggyback off of what I just said by saying, let me elaborate on going outside for
Okay.
your education. Um, Yeah, I was watching a Truth from the Docks with Kurt Isaacson, and he made a point to say that you can't come to work every day and rely on your company officer to make you the best you could be. There is so many learning opportunities, out there for all ranks. Okay, and I think this individual that asked the question, were they a firefighter? Okay,
Uh,
or
they
there
seem
were.
like it from the
Okay,
wording
yeah,
of the
yeah.
question. Yes.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And it really doesn't matter. That's irrelevant when it comes to getting better. Man, I got 25 years total in the service, 23 career total, and I try to strive to be new at something every day. But I'm not going to rely on somebody else to fix me, right? One specific person. Um, Man, on my 25-year anniversary, me and Lori, just a few weeks ago, we were down in Curacao, and Lori's over here reading her, her love stories in her books, and I'm over here reading my love story, which is a fire engineer magazine, right? So, that I seek opportunities outside as much as I can, because I mean, if you rely solely on your internal resources to make you the best you can be, eventually you're going to plateau, right? Eventually everybody's going to just know everything that everybody else knows, and nobody's going to get better. So I'm an advocate for outside education. I'm an advocate for bringing in subject matter experts. There's subject matter experts out there for every aspect of the service, from every position on the fireground. Take advantage of it. And I mean, especially some of your state conferences. If you feel like you're in a learning environment that's stagnant and you're not getting what you feel like you need, look into your state conferences. I mean, most of them in the United States are 100, $150. Man, that's like 10 trips to Wendy's, right?
It's true.
You
It's
know,
a very good point.
don't make the excuses. Take advantage of those things, man. So, just don't rely on just solely that. If you feel like you're being held back, seek other opportunities.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Great questions, man. Great follow ups. As always, they kill it. Trying to see here. Uh, I like Nico's question here because he's asking, how do you encourage or implement tactical changes when your department doesn't see much fire duty? Especially when you got senior members who are kind of entrenched and say, hey, we don't go to fires.
We don't go to fires. Yep. We don't go to fires anymore. Yes, you do. If you go to one, you that's enough to um, I hate to keep relating to or relating back to sayings or somebody else's quotes, but Dennis Laguerre had a podcast years ago, and I took a snippet out of it, and it's
Right on.
how we measure success and normalizing deviant behavior. Um, if we don't look at tactical changes, if we don't look at deviation from historical tactics, best practices today, we're never going to get better, right? I don't care how many fires you go to. If you rely solely on the tactics that you're used to, and you're not out here looking for better ways to do things, you're missing out, man, and you're behind the eight ball. Um, and again, I don't care if you're in a small department where like a volunteer department, you might run 1, 2, 3, 4 house fires a year, building fires. You may be like, Fairfax County, FDNY, they're running multiple a day. It doesn't matter when it comes to your preparation and your tactical preparation. Um, and going back to the normalizing deviant behavior, how do we measure our success? Um, you hear, I've heard this before. The fire went out, nobody got hurt. That's
Yeah,
the biggest
fire went out.
bullshit. That's the biggest bullshit measurement of success on a fire ground that I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
And pardon my French, but um, you know, there's if you don't if your fire went out, but I think I'm gonna paraphrase this by the way Dennis says, if a fire goes out, but you could have done it better. You could have been safer. You could have been more efficient on the fire ground. You could have gotten to the fire quicker, but you don't know you could have, or you could have gotten to the victim quicker, but you don't know you could have. because you haven't taken the time or the initiative to look and stay in tune with today's best practices, then you're normalizing deviant behavior. You're normalizing it. You're making it the norm in your department. And it is irrelevant to your call volume because things are changing, man. You got people out here doing the work for you. You got people out here that are studying these tactics. You got people out here that are running these scenario tests to see what works and what doesn't. You stay in tune with that. And my God, man, when I say stay in tune with that, that's from the top to the bottom. I absolutely cannot stand seeing firefighters being held back because supervisors are not aware of what they're learning, in the service, and they're being held back because you're on two different playing fields. When I say stay in tune with tactics, there is absolutely nothing wrong with. I'm not even going to say it like that. I'm going to just say that it should be. If you're a shift commander, if you're charged with possibly standing in a command post, uh, you should be also in tune with tactics. I know that you're not dictating tactics. If you're a company officer, it's not the chief's job to tell you how to do yours on the fire. That's your job. That's more of a strategic
Yes.
position. But they still need to be in tune with tactics so that they can understand their personnel. But
Love it.
when it comes to that preparation, it doesn't matter how many house fires you got. It doesn't matter how many responses you have. Stay in tune with those tactics and be an advocate for that. Even if you're the only person advocating for it, be an advocate for
Yes, because if you're not and you're the only one, then there's no one.
it. Yep.
I love it, man. Great topics of discussion. Great questions from the audience. But I'm going to move it to book and books because I love talking about books. But I want to hear from you what books you think firefighters should be reading.
Ah, so I got a couple. I've actually got one right here that I don't know many. I think Eckert had it. Yeah, Bobby Eckert had it. Manual. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fireground tactics. Yeah. All right. So that was a hard one to come by.
Oh, no doubt, brother.
But anyway, and I'm like Eckert. I ended up wearing the binder off of that one. If you're a fire officer, I highly recommend Frank Viscuso's 35 Things Fire Officer. Let me see. I got it right here actually. 35 Things
Yeah.
Fire Officers Must Know. Yeah, that's a
Just
good
came
one.
out this
Right.
year. That one
Yeah,
just came out this year, right?
just came out this year. Yep. Hey, you can't go wrong with Jocko. Extreme
Yeah.
leadership. There you go. Oh, excuse me, extreme ownership. Um, this guy, I'm not quite sure if anybody knows who he is. Yeah, the 9L's Corley Moore. I actually got
Good
to give
job.
his book back. Yep.
I'll get you your $20 later.
Dina Ali's got a great one, by the way. Hope Out of the Darkness. I highly recommend that one. Mental health does not get its day in court. Mental health needs to be even more of a hot topic in today's fire service than it ever has. And she has been a huge ambassador for that. So take advantage. Look for that book. Look for that book. If you don't have it, you need to get it.
Love it.
Fireground Tactics. Hey, if it's not a book, or if anybody that's going to FDIC, over 30,000 people going to FDIC every year, go to fire engineering books. Look at the huge inventory of books.
Yes.
The subject matter experts that have provided those learning opportunities there in the form of books. Take advantage of those. But those are my favorites. Those are the ones that I got on my shelf. Frank Ritchie, Command Presence, huge one.
Heck yeah. Heck
Yes,
yeah.
that's an awesome one.
I got to contribute a little bit. I got to contribute a small blurb to that one. That was an honor.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That's a good book.
Kick ass, man. No. And again, man, everybody you said, phenomenal. Minus the 9L guy. But great work. So we do a thing on here after the books, and it's one of my favorite parts. It is the 5 questions for firefighters. The point there's no correct answer to these. They are 100% your opinions, your opinion only.
Okay.
And the points are arbitrary, passed out by me with the help of the audience. So, Paul Watlington, are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
I'm going to win this by a long shot. I'm gonna get high points.
Okay. We will kick it off. Number 1, you can do anything in the world except be a firefighter. What would you choose to be?
If I could be anything in the world other than a firefighter.
Magic wand. You could be anything.
Well, some of my buddies, Anthony Avilo, Todd Edwards, they're gonna be mad if I say this, but probably a truckie. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm gonna go with. I've always wanted to be an NFL football coach.
Okay.
An NFL
Coaching at the highest level of the NFL.
coaching and the Minnesota Vikings in specific, because I'm already aware of what their problems are.
Fair enough. No, so you want to be the head coach, not a specific like
No,
offensive,
head coach,
defensive.
man. Head coach.
You want-
That would be a wake up in the morning dream. Yep.
Great. I don't think anyone's ever taken that. I don't know if they've said coach before, but yours is very specific. So, hey,
NFL head coach. I'm ready
max
for some
points.
halftime speeches, man.
Get them fired up. Max points right out the gate. Easy max points off that one. I like that one a lot. That one connects to my soul. Number 2, it's Jobtown. It is time. You got to think of that scene from Backdraft. You're en route and responding, and the operator is slapping that cassette into that tape deck, if you remember what those were. And what song are you choosing to play while en route? And listen, there is a Spotify playlist. Your answer will go into the playlist with all the other songs. But go ahead. No pressure.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm gonna have to go with. If that's the case, I'm gonna have to go with something by Never My Hero.
Okay.
I'm not going to elaborate on that. Okay. I'm joking.
That can't be found on Spotify, so that's okay.
I'm gonna go with what he's still laughing. Okay. I'm gonna go with probably one of my favorite hype up songs by Rage Against the Machine, "Bulls on Parade." Rage Against
Bulls on Parade. I love it. And Rage will get max points each and every time. Although you had max points with Never My Hero. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy max points. No doubt about it. But no, max points 2 for 2. Number 3, tomorrow, you wake up and you are the chief of department. You can do whatever you want. It can be a fictional department. It can be a department you worked at. It can be whatever. But you are the chief. What is the first change you are going to implement?
Oh, well. Oh, well, considering my chief's probably watching right now, I got to be careful. No,
Again, it can be a fictional department. It can be a fictional department.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't think.
I try to give you that blanket of protection so you can be as honest as possible.
Yeah, no. That's fine. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's got different visions, but I think probably going to get accused of copping out on this one. But I'm gonna probably have to go with there's not really much change that I'm gonna make day one. I need to sit back and evaluate how things are, and I need to really see if the way things are currently, the current environment at that department is, it may very well already be in line with my vision. So, and I will bring my own vision, like I said, to see if it aligns with it. I need to assess things first. I really need to see what's already going on.
No, it's a phenomenal answer. It really is a great. I mean, that is probably like an answer along that line of I'm going to listen to my people. I'm going to look and see what's going on. I'm going to plug in and check it out before I come in there and start making up a ton of changes. So that's probably the reason why the question's going away, because that is like it has that answer. That question has just too clear cut of a good answer. And so again, max points. You crushed it, but I will probably be trying to replace that question. Number 4, on the clock. You get 1 minute to respond. Oh, we don't have a clock today, so we don't have a clock because of the last minute change. But we will absolutely pull up my stopwatch here. Let me set this countdown timer. 1 minute. Here we go. Okay, I got it ready to go. I can hit start timer here. You got 1 minute to answer on the clock. You're riding backwards. You're a backseat firefighter. 4 people on the apparatus, including you. So it's a 4-man. You can choose engine or truck. But 4 people, you get to pick 1 driver, 1 officer, and 1 fellow backseat person to run with. Who do you choose? Go.
High
tech.
My driver's got to be Jack McGee. Jack McGee from Backdraft. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack McGee, the driver from Backdraft. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with my officer, my captain, my lieutenant, my engine boss, Corley Moore, Captain Corley Moore, with his energy.
Okay.
Yeah, with his
Jack
energy.
McGee, Corley.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
I'm
going
loving this
in
so
that.
far.
My other nozzle firefighter, who I'm gonna probably argue with on who's getting the nozzle, or my other firefighter, I'm gonna have to go with Kyle Romagus on that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Me and Kyle Romagus. Yeah, and I'll take that even further, and I'm gonna go with Frank Ritchie or John Salka in the command post. Yeah.
I like throwing the command in. I can't get it to focus, but you finished with 20 seconds, not including the command post add-on. Easy. What do you call it when you throw the easy chum the waters for the easy points for throwing Corley Moore in there somewhere? No, absolutely. I love Jack McGee because he's the guy who slapped that cassette into that tape deck.
Oh,
Uh,
Jack McGee, man. John Wayne time, boys. You're on your own.
uh, and then of course, man, I can't think of a better person to stick in the back with you than the man, the smoothbore man himself. So, dude, I love that. I love that. Cruel Intentions.
Yes.
So again, except for that Corley Moore guy, you did pretty good. But 4 for 4, max points. Number 5, final question. Heavy fire, searchable space. Would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on window initiated search?
Ooh. I'm gonna have to stay true, man. I'm gonna have to stay true. Uh, give me the 7/8. Give me the 7/8. I'm on the pipe. I'm on the pipe. But here's the deal: we still gonna locate and remove the victim.
I love it. And everybody said earlier, like, oh, if that guy's grabbing your nozzle on the ground, we know his answer to number 5. So there you go. You stayed true. And you
Yeah.
absolutely crushed the 5 questions for firefighters. And that is 5 for 5, max points. Easy. Beautiful max points. And that officially puts 327 scraps in the books. My brother, Paul Watlington, first of all, thank you for spending your evening with us. That's the first thing I have to say. Second thing is, if someone wants to get a hold of you, reach out to you, find out more, follow up with stuff, what's the best way to do so?
Probably the best way, impactfiretraining@gmail.com. Impactfiretraining@gmail.com. If you reach out to me there, give me at least 24 to 48 hours to reply back to you. I'm busy. I'm all over the place, man. But I think my cell phone number is probably out in the public. It's on my email, signature, 336-504-5078. Hey, knowledge is power when shared freely, man. So I'm not hoarding and lording anything. Like Aaron Field says, is everything that I got is free to you, but you got to give me what you got, right? That's how this whole thing works. So anybody that's got anything, anybody needs any advice on anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to do so. But we sharpen each other, right? Iron sharpens iron. So don't be surprised if I'm asking something from you too.
I love it. Man. Okay, new thing we started this year, which is I need a challenge from you to the scrappers, a 1 week challenge from Paul Watlington before they watch next week's scrap on Tuesday. Something you want them to try and accomplish. Anything you can think of, but it's a challenge to them to try and accomplish before next Tuesday.
Yeah, I've actually got two real quick, real short ones. One, we talk a lot about expectations, right? We talk about what we expect out of our firefighters when we're in officer roles, and then we talk about what the firefighters expect from us as officers, but we don't talk a whole lot about what we expect from ourselves in our development, right? And where we want to be, where we need to be as firefighters, right? So my 5 expectation challenge is to write down 5 expectations that you have of yourself in the next week. Write down 5 expectations that you have for yourself and see where you stand with those and see if you got work to do with them. And they need to be, in that progression, that pride, that passion that you have for your service. They need to be related to those main 2 questions that those victims ask of us when they dial 911, right? Are you coming when I call you, and do you know what the hell you're doing when you get here?
Mm.
That's the 2 big ones, man. And set your expectations of yourself around that. Are you doing are you being the best version of you that you can be? Are you in the right direction? In your learning process, in your development process, set those expectations for yourself. Write those 5 things down, and see if you're holding up to those. And the second one is stop giving a shit what people think about you and embrace the target on your back.
Nice.
If you're
Nice.
passionate about this fire service, man, hey, don't embrace the target. If anything, thicken your skin so that those darts that get thrown at you don't stick. Embrace that target on your back, because the day that you stop, we're all screwed. Remember that.
Beautiful. I love it. Final question for the evening is someone you think should be on the scrap. I'm always looking to expand my and it's 327 episodes. There's been a lot of people on, but who do you think should be on the scrap or back on the scrap, in your opinion?
So I've just from previously watching the scrap, I was already prepared for this one. I'm actually gonna go with somebody new. Have you had Raymond Doral?
Yes, sir.
You have had him.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. I was getting ready to say.
It's been a while. It's probably
Yeah.
it's been a while. So, but
Oh,
it might not be. Yeah. Dude,
One-
one of my favorite people. I talk about him almost every time I teach a class.
One of the most impactful, inspirational people I'm so blessed to call him a friend. We talk, we text back and forth. Just super inspirational guy. And again, it goes back to just how impactful being inspirational is to development of other people.
I love that.
He's an awesome guy.
No, thank you. No, because again, Raymond's. Yes. All right. With that being said, we have made it through. We got the scrap. We got the challenges. We got the guests. Housekeeping time. Vigilantes, everybody go to patreon.com/the Vigilantes and become a vigilante, because Vigilantes is where the cool kids hang out, and the Discord is up and running. There is so much going on in the Discord. In fact, next week, Andrew McGinn is the guest. He is a vigilante. He's also he won't put it this way, but I'll put it this way. He is the primary mover and shaker on the Work of Search, which is the follow-up to the Book of Search. It is the work. I'm sorry, McGinn. Johnston. Sorry, McGinn. I was seeing your name on the YouTube. Sorry, Johnston, for calling you McGinn. I don't know who's more insulted. You guys have to fight it out and decide. But Andrew Johnston, thank you, Sam. Andrew Johnston has been the mover and shaker on the Work of Search. Andrew McGinn's been the mover and shaker on trying to keep my brain organized. Totally separate, but they're both Andrews. Okay, long story short, next week, find out all about the Work of Search and what the Vigilantes have been up to for the last month or so. And it'll be pretty cool. If you're not there, you'll miss out. So that's next episode, Andrew Johnston and Vigilantes. As always, the after party. Well, I don't know how it affects Sam sending out the invite because we're in Zoom right now, but the after party will be right after here. We'll be roasting Paul if he's willing to come to the after party, and it'll be a fun time. So next week, Andrew Johnston, Work of Search. 2 weeks from tonight, it is Frank Lieb, and you better get your notepads ready and bring your questions. All right, enough jabbering from me. After party time. Thank you once again, Paul Watlington, for being a phenomenal guest and bringing value to the fire service.
Thanks, Corley. Appreciate you having me, man.
It is awesome. Audience, you make the scrap magical. You show up each and every week. And for that, I can never thank you enough. You bring the best questions and throw them at the best guests. And I just get to stand here and try not to get in the way. And it's awesome. I love you all. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. This job is not safe. So stay smart out there.